Good everyone, it's Steve from Sneaker Tech Talk, back with another video today. For today's video, we will be doing a performance review on the Jordan Zion 3 versus the Jordan Zion 3 SE. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so first things first, starting with the traction pattern. Now the pattern itself on both shoes are exactly the same, but there is one small difference on where they do differ. So on this shoe right here, the surrounding area around the herringbone traction pattern is actually translucent, whereas on the SE version, it is flipped. You do have the translucent portion on the herringbone pattern and then the solid rubber outsole on the outside. And I do find that they do grip the floor just a little bit better. Now, if you're playing on a very squeaky clean floor, you won't have any issues with this traction pattern. But if you are playing on a floor, even with a tiny bit of dust, this shoe collects an insane amount of dust, and you literally have to wipe every second play or you will be sliding all over the court. And that is obviously very problematic. In my opinion, the SE version is just a little bit better, but the standard Jordan Zion 3, that translucent portion wrapping around the herringbone pattern just literally collects dust, hair, you name it. At the bottom of the shoe, after like a 20-minute shoot around, it's full of dust and very problematic. I can't make any confident moves in this shoe without wiping, so that is very much a problem on the threes. So if I had to give the slight edge to one shoe over the other, I would definitely say the SE version is better, but just slightly in my opinion. So as far as the cushioning on both of these shoes go right here, so obviously on the midsole, you have a ton of plastic and rubber that does wrap up the midsole, but the cushioning is actually housed within the shoe. You have a drop-in midsole option on both of them. So on the standard version of the Jordan Zion 3s, you have a full-length Formula 23 foam compound. And then in the forefoot, you have a very thick Zoom airbag, which is very springy under your forefoot and just offers great court feel at the front and decent impact protection at the back. And then obviously this one right here has a midfoot shank plate, and then it does wrap up on the lateral side. So this directly under your foot actually offers some decent support as far as midfoot support goes. But if you see right here, it's a very narrow drop-in midsole. So if you are a wide footer, you will have some issues with this, but that's what you're getting with the standard Zion 3s. With the SEs, again, you're getting a full-length bed of Formula 23, so it's very plush and nice underfoot and very springy. But the reason I like this one just a little bit better is because it does have full-length Zoom Air. Now this Zoom airbag is very thin. It's not even close to as thick as what you're getting here in the forefoot, but just having that full-length Zoom setup from heel to toe, it just offers a very nice transition, again, from your heel to toe, and just a very plush feeling underfoot. More or less the exact same court feel in this shoe right here, if not a little bit closer because the Zoom airbag is a little bit thinner, but just overall, it's a very plush ride. And I very much like what they're doing with his shoes on offering these drop-in midsoles. So if anything stays consistent from one shoe to the next on the Zion 4, I would like to see drop-in midsoles stay because I very much like playing in them. But as far as the cushioning goes on both of these shoes, if I had to give the slight edge to one over the other, I would definitely say the SE version with the full-length Zoom Air is definitely the way to go. Now, as far as the fit goes on both of these shoes, now in my original performance review of the Zion 3s, I did go with a size 10.5. This one right here is an 11, and the SE version that I picked up is an 11 as well. So as far as the length of the shoe, they're perfectly fine. I have a tiny bit of room at the end of the shoe, but as far as the width goes, that's a huge problem with this shoe because as you can see right here, it is such a narrow basketball shoe. So even for me, someone that doesn't have an overly wide foot, I have a ton of issues with just the overall fit in the forefoot and a ton of pinch points in both of these shoes. It's very problematic. The SEs actually took a couple hours to break in to not have any pain in the forefoot. And that's not something that I care to play in or deal with because if I am playing in a basketball shoe, break-in period is part of playing in shoes. But when it's extremely painful on foot, that is problematic. If you have a regular foot, I would go up half a size right from the jump. If you have a wide foot, I would skip this shoe altogether because of how narrow it is. Now with the drop-in midsoles, you can see how narrow it is. In this one right here for the standard 3s, it actually looks more narrow than the SE. So I think they might have made things a little bit wider in the SEs, but they're still such a narrow basketball shoe that it's just so uncomfortable on foot. I don't know how Zion plays in these. He must have a wider last as far as his PEs go, because for me, it's just such a problem as far as the fit goes. But if you have a narrow foot, maybe give them a shot. But for me, the overall fit is more or less exactly the same on both shoes. So I actually wouldn't grade one over the other because both of them fit very narrow. One thing I will mention though that I do really like on both of them, they do have Achilles pillows at the back, and there is a ton of padding at the back of the shoe. And then the tongue is like a neoprene tongue. So this is very comfortable around your ankle and at the tongue, but all the discomfort in the Zion 3 and the Zion 3 SE does come in the forefoot, and that's why it's an issue for me in both of these shoes. Now, as far as the materials go on both of these, obviously with the Zion 3s, you do kind of have this mesh material that is very tightly woven, and then this TPU kind of material wrapping around the shoe or fuse, and that's to offer a bit more durability for this mesh and support as far as those hard lateral cuts. At the back of the shoe, you do kind of have a synthetic like cement print with some more stitching that does say Zion. On the SE version, you're getting a raw material with this nubuck material and this really nice stitch work running throughout, more or less the same on the strap right here. And then at the back of the shoe, you have a longer haired suede at the back with the stitch work. So as far as the materials go, I would definitely give the edge to this. The only thing is this material does take some time to break in. I spent about 8 hours in this shoe, and it took about an hour or two for this material to break in and just form to my foot. So as far as the materials go, the Zion 3 SE is a little bit more expensive. I think these are $180, and the SEs come in at $190 here in Canada. So I would definitely give the slight edge to the material on the Zion 3 SE. Now, as far as the weight goes on both of these shoes, they're both a US size 11. Now, the standard 3s come in at 14.75 ounces, and the SE version comes in at 17.15, so about 2.5 ounces heavier. I would have to say that's because of the Velcro strap and the full-length zoom bag at the bottom of the drop-in midsole. I think both of those things are making this shoe just a little bit heavier than the Jordan Zion 3. So again, obviously the slight edge is gonna go to this model right here. That's more or less where my basketball shoes fall in as far as the weight goes. So the Zion 3 gets the slight edge when it comes to the weight. Now, as far as the support goes on both of these shoes, on the Zion 3, you do have an internal heel counter and then some plastic and rubber wrapping up the side of the shoe. More or less the exact same right here at the medial side. So it does have decent torsional rigidity. And then you also have these two outriggers, one at the midfoot and one at the forefoot, to help prevent your foot teetering over if you do land awkwardly. And then the drop-in midsole actually has this red portion here. It's a plastic TPU plate, and it does wrap up the lateral side to offer decent torsional rigidity and lateral containment. So all things considered, in my opinion, the Jordan Zion 3 is a very supportive basketball shoe. On the SE version, you're getting the exact same with the internal heel counter, the plastic and rubber wrapping up the side to help prevent your foot from sliding over the footbed. The exact same two outriggers right here, but where it does differ is on the drop-in midsole. You're not getting that midfoot support plate, but I would trade that out all day, every day to have full-length Zoom Air. So I don't think it's really an issue on kind of going away from the TPU plate directly under the drop-in midsole. But what they did add is this Velcro strap. Now, as far as what this does, if you crank it down very tight, on the medial side, they do run down into the footbed, so it does wrap directly around your foot. And then cranking this tight, it just offers great lockdown and support as far as lateral containment. So I definitely like the usage of this Velcro strap, but it's a little bit problematic when it comes to the fit because it's already an overly narrow shoe. And then adding the strap into it, when you do crank it down very tight, it just makes this shoe even more suffocating on foot than the standard version. But if I had to give the slight edge to one over the other, I actually enjoy the support on the SE just a little bit more because of this Velcro strap and then kind of doing away with that plate at the bottom and then what you're getting with that Zoom Air. So again, as far as the support goes, both of them are very good in my opinion, but I would give the slight edge to the SE. So that's going to do it for today's performance review on both of these basketball shoes, the Zion 3 and the Zion 3 SE. Now, aesthetically and what this shoe is offering in general, I love it. I love the looks, I love the drop-in midsoles, and I really want to love this basketball shoe. But for me, even with a regular foot, not wide at all, This shoe is just too narrow. I can't get away with it on court. And then coupled with the problematic traction pattern, again, it's a little bit better here on the SE, but the threes, all things considered, they're terrible. In my opinion, if you're not wiping every second or third play, you will be sliding out because this just collects a ton of dust. It's literally a vacuum for dust. It just collects all the way around this outsole. I think if you can grab these for like $50 and maybe bring them outdoors, again, they'll collect a ton of dust, but at least you'll have really nice cushioning and support for outdoor basketball. But all things considered, I wouldn't invest in either one of these shoes, in my opinion. There's just so many problems as far as the fit and the overall traction that I don't think either of them are worth it. But like I said, that's gonna do it for today's video. As always, if you guys could like, comment, and subscribe, that definitely helps the channel a ton. And check out my Instagram over at Sneaker Tech Talk, as it is an extension of my YouTube channel with all my pickups, basketball footage, and nostalgia as a whole. As always, thanks for watching today's video, and until next time, peace.